Alright guys, so working on getting this bracket off of the rocker inside, okay? Drill the holes on each spot weld, and this is just a quick video on how, this is how I do it, okay? I don't have fancy tools. I've got chisel, okay? Hammer. Got my hammer. Drive it down behind where the spot weld is. I've already done one, so it's freed up. Okay. Yeah. Alright. It's obviously going to come in pieces. It's rusted pretty bad. Now, depending on how good you drill each spot weld will determine how easily this comes off. You know, you can tell by when you first drill it. If the panel doesn't pop right away from this metal, then it's still stuck. You can get a larger bit. I try to drill the smallest hole as possible because remember you're gonna have to weld the stuff back on. So, you know, don't drill a huge hole. It's just going to make more work for yourself. Yeah. Alright, so there's one side of it. Anyways, I only drilled one spot weld out on this because I couldn't see the other one from the rust. But I got a suspicion that it's going to just pop right off there because it was rusted. There you go. So, you know, that's, like I said, it's pretty simple. Hammer, chisel, drill. Okay, showed you guys this one already. You know, any drill will work. Good sharp bits, that's the key. You know, obviously you got a dull bit, you're going to be sitting here a long time. There's a lot of spot welds. And they're hard to see too. So, if you look, you know, this whole ridge has got to go. So I'll be here a while. Look at this. Somebody spray foamed. I don't know why people do that. I don't know. I think it's common up north where I live, and I don't know why. It's just easy for people to get a can of spray foam and just fill holes up with it. They really don't realize that that stuff just holds water and moisture and it just speeds up the rust process. Okay, that's part of the reason why this car is so bad. You know, don't spray foam stuff. It's not for cars. Use it in your house. It's pretty rusty, so I'm gonna just take my hammer and chisel and work my way through it, and then any spots that are too hard to chisel out without ruining this panel, we'll have to drill. I feel like this is the fastest way to do this because it's so rusted you can't even see where the spot welds are. So by doing this, I can tell where they are. Obviously, when it stops peeling away from the panel. Okay, just went through one there. See, it was pretty easy. Alright guys, so I've cleaned off this lip. Not cleaned it fully. I've removed all of the rest of the floor pan that was all spot welded on. Okay. Once you get back to this corner, you'll end up. You got a couple layers that are kind of folded over each other. So the very back of this panel comes down and then bends back out and comes over the top of the original floor. Okay, so once you cut the floor out, and then you need to separate those two that overlap. They overlap about 2 inches, give or take. Okay, and they're seam sealed and then spot welded to each other. So I always cut the floor out and leave a little bit of the floor in front of that lip, so the bottom's sticking out, so you can get a punch in there to separate it. Okay, so I've driven. You can see it's all bent up. Okay, I'm separating that. There'll be just a sliver that runs along the bottom here, across. So you gotta work at that. Same method. Just drill out the ones that it won't separate easily. This one's actually held together pretty good, even though the lips are all bent and it is separating. I can't get the spot welds to give up very easily without, bending this all up. I'll have to straighten this out when I'm done because I've kind of got a little aggressive on it. But so, like I said, just work your way into the two pieces and separate them, and all the way across, and then we'll move on to the next portion. All right, so I'm drilling out the spot welds. Now that I've found where they are, I'm going to drill them. Okay, there's two of them side by side. They're really hard to see. There we go. There's that. Okay, so I've got to do the same thing here and here, and then once I switch over to the other side of the subframe connector, just working my way across. All right, so this is the 2-inch wide piece that I'm talking about. This is what is left of the floor, and it underlays this panel coming down, and then it has a lip coming out. Okay. If you guys can see that or not. I know, horrible camera skills. This is the lip coming out. Okay, your floor pan lays underneath it. Okay, so we're almost done. I've got to do from here over to here. Okay, your floor pan stops just under the seatbelt line. Okay, here's your seatbelt bolt, and your floor pan just tucks just up to that bolt, comes across. So once you get all this stuff out, you can lay your floor pan in and then mark where it lays. Obviously, you don't want to cut too far. So, like I said, just work on getting this stuff cleaned up. Okay, guys. So I'm just getting to the point where I'm test fitting this floor pan in. All right, and there's a couple things that I noticed right off the bat that are different from this newer pan to my car. All right, these, they lay down in there, with the exception of my subframe connector getting in the way. But the biggest thing was these body lines. Okay, there's two there, and then you got one here. All right, this car, the floor pan's smooth. All right, so those match up. And I want to say that's 86 and newer that they did that. I'm pretty sure because my 86 has these grooves in it. Okay, this is an 83 or an 84. I can't remember now, honestly. I think it's an 84. Okay, it does not have those indentations in the floor. So that, keep that in mind when you order yours. You may run into this issue. It's pretty minor. It's just something I wanted to point out. So another thing too is that you'll have to notch out. Okay, this is where your wiring harness for your transmission comes through. On the, I want to say it's pre-86 cars. I think the 87 and 86 and up, or 87 and up, have it comes through in here, and the wire runs back. So they leave leave this opened up for that, which my car didn't use. It was a standard originally, so my stuff came through this hole. Okay, there's no perforation in that, so you'll have to cut that out if that's the same for your car as it is like mine. Those are the two things that I noticed that are different. Like I said, other than that, it fits pretty good. I can't get it to set down all the way because of the subframe connector that I built. So I'm going to work on that, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. Alright, so I've got my floor pan set in. Just the clearance subframe, the subframe connector. Okay. Now I know in one of my videos I was talking about when I put the subframe connector in, I was going to make it sit underneath the floor pan because I didn't want to do this. But in all reality, it's just not possible. To keep the subframe connector up as high as possible, you have to run it through the floor, okay? Which, you know, in the back of my mind, I knew I'd seen a few of these done. So, this is my take on that. It works fine. It's just a lot of welding and you know, taking care of the seam that runs along these. You know, obviously you have where your old plug goes, you've got this to deal with. So I'll end up pounding that lip up and welding across there. I'll get it sealed up, and I'll definitely get a shot of it when it's done. Sorry about the light underneath the car, guys. But that's, you know, the floor pan is set down as low as it's going to sit. And that's that. Once you've determined that your floor pan is set into position, okay, and it's sitting right where you need it to be, you're going to have to go underneath the car and kind of outline where the subframe is. Okay, originally from the factory it was spot welded along this route here up through, and then on this side here there's a cross member for your transmission that it also gets spot welded to the floor pan. That's very important that you get that welded back up to the floor. So I'm gonna go underneath and take a look at this. So here's your subframe to your new floor, which, you know, there's a gap there right now. Okay, I haven't cleaned it up and I haven't got it ready. What I'm doing is I'm gonna do an outline. Oh, let's see. I can actually see some of where the original spot welds were, but I'm not gonna worry about that. What I want to do is just draw a line that follows this thing. Okay. Alright, now you see this here? This is the floor pan. Okay, that's the floor pan that goes up towards the pedals, okay? And this is the overlap piece. Clearly it's rusted, okay? I'm going to have to replace that section as well, which I will get to. Now, you guys probably have a hard time seeing this. This is the cross member here that goes to your transmission. Alright. Which we need to outline, roughly. This way, when we pull the floor pan back out of the car, we'll be able to see, okay, where the outside edge is, and then we can drill holes to spot weld it back in. Now, it looks like here's a spot weld, here's a spot weld. Okay, you can kind of see the original spots they did from the factory. So kind of go with that distance. Alright, now you see how this cross member isn't, I can fit this marker up in between it. Okay, that's supposed to be all the way up to the floor. One of the issues is those indentations I was telling you about earlier that aren't in my floor pans, but they are in the ones that I got. Now, this is going to be hard to see. Let's move this light from behind us. Okay. There it is. That's the dent in the floor pan that my floor don't have. It's pushing up on the floor pan, not letting it sit down all the way, and that's one of the issues I got to take care of. But for now, I just wanted to show you guys what you got to do to locate this cross member. Okay, there's my line, roughly where it should be. Alright, so do that. We marked out roughly where this cross member and subframe sits. Alright, now as you can see, it follows that channel, you know, right straight down through, minus where we cut out for our subframe connectors. Alright, and then while we was under there, we was marking roughly where we wanted our spot welds to be. Well, that's where we're going to drill holes. Okay, right on this flat surface. Okay, we're going to mark roughly every, I don't know, it seems to be like 2 inches or so, you know. So this isn't rocket science. So do that. I've got my holes drilled out. Okay, I did it in 2 steps for drilling them. Smaller bit first, then the larger bit. Okay, so I've got them laid out how I want them. Okay, I've gone ahead and done the side rail. Okay, I've got to flip this panel over and do, okay, we'll have to do this section, okay, where the floor overlaps. So you'll have an inch and a half, inch and a quarter, inch and a half, whatever you want to do for an overlap. I mean, if you're a pro, you cut these panels so they fit seamlessly, you know, no overlap, they just weld them in. We're not going to be welding the entire length of the panel. We're going to spot weld it in just like they would from the factory, and then seam seal it right as we set it in last and start welding. So I'm going to get to drilling those out. I've got my perimeter holes drilled for the overlap. Okay, get those done. I did a little whoopsie here. I cut too much out of the floor here because I forgot that the new panels taper. For whatever reason, they don't want to make them straight. They taper them. It's beyond me. That's just how they are. You don't drill the back row because the floor seam, I got to pound this back down. This already has the holes in it. This is where you weld through. Don't drill holes in this piece. The edge, okay, to the entire edge. Now I'm just test fitting because I have to repair this floor, okay, and this panel that I put in needs to be tucked underneath this one. This overlays that panel, okay, which is seen here. Your floor pan, because the way this car is built is this tunnel is done, then they lay their floor pan in, they weld it in, and then they come back with this panel, okay, and they lay this in and weld it in. So everything's kind of laid in order. Alright, so I've test fitted it again after drilling. Everything looks good. You want to make sure that everywhere you drilled, okay, you can see the back panel behind it. Okay, that's the whole goal. You want to weld each one of these holes shut, but you want to make sure that this floor is pushed down when you do it, so you get a good contact. You don't want a gap between it. It's supposed to be tight. Alright, and then obviously when we get back here, we'll start welding. I'm going to fully weld this floor to this beam. Okay, it's going to take a while to do that, obviously. Alright, but I've got a gap. You know, I got to move this around, but it'll look good, and you guys will definitely see it when it's done. So stay tuned for that.